Hi, Mochismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Let me beat the dead horse a little more. Just a few factors to pay attention to, both the waking empaths, chosen ones, and those who are trying to make sense out of this nonsense. These are just a few practical, fundamental signs that you should be aware of when you initially meet a person who you don't know is a narcissist, but you're going to be very quickly able to determine whether they are or not, or whether they have strong propensities of narcissistic personality disorder, or their intentions are dark. These are not so much to be overlooked. They're just practical, fundamental cues that will almost always determine that you're dealing with someone who's a succubus, someone who's a bloodthirsty vampire, and they're out for you, and they need your energy. First thing that they will attempt to tell you, and this has been my experience consistently, I don't know how this interacts with a woman and the narcissist being a man. So I'm just going to speak from a man, empath, chosen one, entertaining a possible female narcissist. Such as in my case, I see something that's very consistent, or I've seen something that's very consistent in many interactions in the initial stages of, say, a dinner date or a meetup or a getting to know someone in a relationship. They will ask you what's your zodiac sign. They will ask you when were you born, when's your birthday, that type of thing. And if you should say, a lot of people ask this now, follow me, what your response is will determine whether this is a red flag you should consider among the other ones that I'm going to point out. If you just nonchalantly and say, I'm not into that stuff, it doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about my zodiac sign. I don't want to talk about my birthday. I don't believe in that stuff. Even if you have some kind of belief system in this stuff, just say that. Because what you're doing is you're defying their demand. See, in a narcissist's mind, when they ask you something, you very well better answer it. And if they hear that word, no, that's kryptonite to them. You know this. Awakened empaths, chosen ones, we've tried it. We've worked that thing out. We know that this works. It's effective. So if they persist and say, what's the big deal? Why don't you just tell me? And you just calmly, stoically say, I just told you. And that is that. Let's move on in the conversation. And as much as possible, don't even give them my contact. You give them just a glance and say, I already gave you my response, and that's the end of it. You look away and you just nonchalantly say, let's continue with our dinner and conversation if you don't mind. And you will see, to the degree that this rent space in their head, their mood will change. They will get drastically uncivil. They will get standoffish. They will become quiet. And see, the silent treatment will begin. You will superimpose that silent treatment that you normally will get way down the line. Way down the line when you get into a relationship, when they've bagged you up, and when they've gotten you, and they've gotten their hands around your neck, and they're insulated in your life. But you have superimposed this silent treatment. Pay attention. If they shut down and become totally silent, you've hurt their feelings. You have hurt their ego. Another thing that they will tend to do, they will ask you certain things like, this will seem like a normal conversation, but the difference is you will have to pay attention to how insistent they are on these things that they're talking about. They will go on to say, if they don't go silent on that one, you continue the conversation. Because if they think that you're a vital source of supply or fuel, like say high grade, they will persist. They may go another jab and say, well, yeah, what do you do for a living? Where you from? And just the different generic questions. And you'll say, I'm from down south. And they'll say, where at? And you'll say, just near Florida. You're not giving them specifics. And they'll be like, well, why don't you want to tell me exactly where you from? And you'll be like, well, I just told you Florida. I mean, the specifics don't matter. I mean, I'm from Florida and I don't get into specifics. Why should we even talk specifics? We can just generalize our conversation. I don't need to know specifics about you. I can ask you where you're from. You tell me you're from New York. I get that. We're getting to know each other. And see, this tells them that you have a boundary. And they may try to use that. Well, you being very suspicious and you're being very secretive. And you will say to them, no, I'm not. I'm not being very secretive. I'm giving you the state that I'm from. I'm giving you actually the city and where I'm from. Uh, I haven't given you my address or the street I lived on because that's not important. I have family and I have people who I love to death. And until I get to know you, those are things that I don't divulge to people. And see, this is giving them an explanation why you're so called being secretive because they don't have anything to go on now because you've given them everything that you possibly would like to give them short of what they want. And so what will generally happen is if they don't abort mission and they just stick it out because in their mind they're saying, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to get you for this or that because you've just caused a narcissistic injury unbeknownst to you. And so there's another one they tend to do once, and if it goes past that and they get past those two hurdles there, they will go, let's say if you're taking them back home and you pick them up and they're riding with you, they will, another thing, when you're ordering, they will order all kinds of things off of the menu when you kindly say whatever you want. You will see them act as though they just want a little bit. I'm not that hungry. But then, in a moment's notice, when the waitress come, they will thereby order 5 or 6 different types of things on the menu, and you're saying to yourself, how can she possibly eat all this? Because what they're doing is they're hoarding your kindness, and they're going to order something for now. And I had one as bold as to say, well, yeah, I'm going to eat this now for the main, and I'm just going to get this to go. They blatantly ordered a whole 4-course meal to begin with, and they ordered another 4-course meal to go. This is the blatant, bold brashness. So what you just did, those two things before, in which you imposed your boundary on them, that's their way of showing you where, I'll show you. I'm going to insult your kindness. And so this is how you can determine whether this person is triggered by your stoic boundary of being in tune with yourself and standing in your truth. And there's one more before I close. When you taking them home, you will notice that they are fidgety. They are going through everything in your car. They're going through everything in your car. They're doing all kinds of annoying things in your car to have you have to say, can you flip that visor back up if you're done with it? They will leave this stuff down on purpose. They will automatically get hot or cold. And you'll turn the heat up if they're cold. And then 5 seconds later, they'll be like, oh, I'm too hot. So they'll go through these different, people, women have hot flashes, I get it. But these things in conjunction all together are mounting up. These are red flags for you to realize that this person is very, very disordered, and they cannot keep their mind straight. They're all over the place. And on that drive home, if you dare say, why are you looking in my console like that? Oh, just looking to see if you had blah 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 blah. And you say to them, well, all you have to do is ask. They'd be like, well, dog, you got a problem with everything I do. And see, this is when you know this person has no boundaries, they have no consideration, they have no respect for any of your personal possessions, because the audacity and the boldness of someone to do that, and you if you say that, the first thing that they would say, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, I shouldn't have done that. Because what a person who has a fair amount of empathy and consideration would readily recognize, oh man, I don't know what I was thinking, I shouldn't have done that in your inside of your own head, and you will give a lighthearted apology, and you'll say, oh, I apologize, I should have, when I wasn't thinking, I just, my bad. And you will go on and continue that date or that interaction and that conversation like that really never happened. You won't hold a grudge over that thing, because we all need to be held accountable. But these are red flags, these are things that stand out and stick out immediately. Because if you are a high grade supply or fuel source to a narcissist, they will come in hot. They will come in hot. They will be asking you questions a mile a minute. Before you can finish answering one question, they're asking you another one, because they have you in an interview status. You're in interview mode. They're trying to see if you're going to fit that position for that job they're hiring you to, because you're an employee to the narcissist. They are hiring you to fulfill a position in that factory, along with all these other people who they've hired for no pay. You're working for free. And this is how they operate, and this is how their life is ran. Their life is driven, and it's very contingent on other people. Narcissists can't even make a simple decision without drawing off of something external. They can't reason and think within themselves. They have to look outside of themselves to form any kind of thought process. They can't ponder anything inside of their head. Think about what I just said. Like you and I would say, man, let me think about what I want to do today. What kind of projects do I want to do? They don't think like that. The projects that they're thinking about is something like this. If they could actually verbally put in context what they're thinking. Go to Walmart, see that one, and they don't have you by name. Supply 1, 2, ABC. Their list, their grocery list, their list of errands for the day consist of people. They may go to the grocery store, but they don't go to the grocery store like you and I to buy grocery. They always have someone at the forefront of that trip or that visit. They are people addicted. They're not purpose addicted. They're not purpose driven. They're people driven. So these fundamental things that I've said, and many people on here have said over and over and over, often these things get overlooked in the very, very initial inception of this interaction, of this date or this conversation, this chance meeting. Because these people ask you so many private questions in the first date. It has you, or the first interaction, it has you, if you're not well or healthy or have the insight like a lot of us do now, And say if you've been distracted by something prior to that, let's say if you just jacked up and you're super excited about the fact that you are gonna meet up with her because she just hotty toddy, he's handsome as all get out, you can be blinded by the physical. And you will be forthcoming with all of these answers because you'll feel compelled. I'm just trying to be cordial. I'm just trying to be delightful. And you're missing the fundamental fact that these questions are off. And when you start forming those little boundaries, like I just described, you will be able to indicate very quickly if this person is on an energetic uh, parallel with you, if they're going in the same direction of you, or if they're counterproductive to you and them. You're going this way and they're going that way. If it's a tug of war in that conversation, doesn't feel right, more than likely it's not right for you. And you have to be strong enough to cease and desist. I mean, you can cordially disengage after that first chance meeting. Once they call, you don't answer that phone. You don't respond. You don't react. You don't do anything. You let them wonder what's going on with you. And I've had one blow my phone up, and they try these tactics like, if you didn't, you should have just said that in the first place. They go on to have a conversation in and of themselves, and you'll see it becomes very, very, very intense. It'll become diabolical, and you just so much have that urge. You want to just kind of exonerate and try to clear the air. But if you're aware and awake, as a lot of us are, you know the tactic. That is just to draw you in to get a response. And as soon as you get an engaged conversation or you reply, and even if you say, nope, that's not the case, they'll be like, well, why you can't tell me what's going on? You just like, you don't want to talk. It must be, I must be telling the truth. It must be the truth. And so this is tactic. And then they'll blow your phone and try to call you. If they can't get you to respond through text, they'll call you. Now, normally when it gets beyond this point where you've already disengaged with that relationship or that date and they are calling you insistently, you already know undeniably that you're dealing with a hot potato. You're dealing with a hot potato, and you've determined right that you should have aborted mission, so you've made the right choice. That being said, guys, bless.